What up, HyperChange? Welcome to an Instagram live video doing an update about Tesla staying public. I'm going to give a couple seconds for people to join here. FYI, if you're watching on YouTube now, I'm doing this new thing where I make these live videos on Instagram because it's super easy, and then I can save them and post them on the channel. So that's what you're watching right now. Hello, people are joining. Anyway, so basically what happened is late Friday night, Elon Musk released a blog post on Tesla's website, basically going back, saying that the company would be staying public after all this. So basically the reasoning and gist behind his blog post was that after trying to take the company private, he met with, a bunch of large shareholders, a bunch of small shareholders, and a couple different things happened. The first thing is he realized this was not going to be something that was easy, that could be done overnight, right away. It was going to take a lot of his time, more than he had expected, and become a distraction for the company. Reason number two that he apparently decided to stay public, or that Elon and Tesla are staying public, is that a bunch of tiny shareholders and larger investors like mutual funds. ARK Research is a firm who is very vocal about not being able to hold if Tesla went private. A ton of foreign investors were very concerned about being able to hold if Tesla does go to a private company. So it looks like after Elon talked to his lawyers and everybody involved, he realized that a ton of the small shareholders wouldn't be able to stay on board. And so the best move for Tesla to avoid this distraction and to get everybody to stay invested in the company was to stay public. So the media is writing this saying, this was a massive snafu. This is horrible news. They released it on a Friday night. They're trying to hide it. I think it was really smart for Tesla to release the news on a Friday night. That makes the most sense to me because that gives us shareholders in the media, the most time to digest this news over the weekend. So I think Tesla's handling this, as appropriately as they can. Interesting to see the stock kind of flat today. I had no idea what to expect. I previously was initially really scared that Tesla was going private because I was worried that we were going to all get left out. And then Elon said that, we'd be able to potentially stay on in this new private entity. At the end of the day, I kept waffling back and forth. Well, is this good for Tesla? I think they could succeed public. I think they could succeed private. And at the end of the day, they're staying public, which is great news. But, I've been supporting the company through thick and thin, and that hasn't changed at all. The fundamental value of Tesla is based, in any company in reality, is based on their future trajectory of earnings and cash flow. And, going public or private was not changing Tesla's business model, was not changing the Model 3, was not changing their cash flow or profitability. So it really has no, bearing on what's actually happening with the company or its value. So I think this is all a sideshow, and I'm really hoping that this sort of blows over now and we can move on and focus on the fundamentals of the company, which I think are awesome. I do think the media is going to be, and yes, whoever just commented and said this is embarrassing, it was a little embarrassing. I hope Elon learned from this, because once again, it's just another media distraction and snafu. Now we have an SEC investigation, which is opened up and totally self-inflicted, that Elon Musk created by tweeting funding secured. But on the flip side, will this SEC investigation matter? Probably not. It'll just be a slap on the wrist fine in a few months. In a worst case scenario, it's not going to matter to Tesla at all. So I'm really curious if you tuning in have any questions here about what this means or anything like that. Please let me know in the comments below. Someone in the last live stream mentioned that they were concerned that VW was actually rumored to buy out Tesla, because if you actually read some of the news reports today, it looks like Tesla actually did have the funding lined up. They're working with Silver Lake Partners, this VC firm who helped take Dell private, and they had lined up about $30 billion in financing from a couple different players, although one of them was VW, which is super ironic because VW, we know, has been desperate to invest in electric vehicles after the Dieselgate scandal. But, I think this is one of the things that Elon Musk sort of realized in this whole meeting was that, do I really want companies like VW to own a huge chunk of Tesla instead of the little guy who's believed in us since day one? We're giving that equity stake to the automaker who's been fighting us and has been committing, fraud and polluting. It just doesn't add up. So I'm really happy, and we should all be celebrating the fact that Tesla is still public and that we can all still hold on to our shares. So I think that's awesome news. And why I'm really so excited, because we need to start focusing back on the core business here. The bottom line is Tesla, according to this Electrek article that came out today, has already produced about 47,000 cars in Q3, is on track to build about 70 to 75,000 cars in Q3 2018. That is incredible progress for this manufacturing company. In Q2, just last quarter, Tesla only built about 53,000 cars. So that's or 53,000. So they're set to increase production about 40% quarter over quarter. This is incredible numbers. In Q3 2017, they built about 25,000 cars. So if they do build about 75,000 cars in Q3 2018, that's almost a tripling of their production output in just a year. I mean, for a manufacturing company that they're not selling software, that's literally selling cars, to triple their production year over year is unheard of growth. And this is what has me so excited about Tesla. You know, the intrinsic value of this company is tied to how many cars they can build and how profitably they can do it. And we won't know about the profitability until Q3, but we do know that the production is really, really scaling. And this is what has me so excited about the company. This is why I bought stock at $334 a share about a week or two ago, because I believe, you know, Tesla just as an entity is worth more than they have ever been. You know, Elon Musk's recent tweets, this entire privatization drama has changed nothing about the business model. It's changed nothing about the fundamentals. And so it's frustrating. It's a distraction, but it also presented, I believe, an opportunity where the market is focused on this, you know, are they going public? Are they going private? When the reality is that doesn't matter and doesn't change the fundamentals of the company. So that's sort of my take on this situation. What are the current production numbers for Model 3? It seems they're ahead of their estimate, says Corey. Thanks for that question. Actually, Tesla, according to this electric article I'm reading, is actually a little bit behind their production goal, but they're still doing incredibly well. They have guided officially that they want to build between 50 to 55,000 Model 3s in Q3, deliver a little bit more than that. So those are the official numbers from Tesla. Did Tesla guide to be GAAP profitable in Q3? If so, by how much? Thank you for the question. They did say they are planning to be profitable and cash flow positive in Q3 and Q4, but in Q3 it's going to be cutting it very, very close. They're going to be right about at break even. So I'm not 100% convinced they will be profitable in Q3, but I think they're going to show a massive improvement. And I think in Q4, according to the numbers I'm looking at, I really think they're going to be able to knock out a solid GAAP profit, you know, if they can keep scaling Model 3 production. Hey Gally, question from Jonathan. Hey Gally, what do you think about the $4,000 price target of ARK Invest? Have you already read their valuation model? First of all, I think ARK is awesome. I was just at their office on Friday, actually, in part of a brainstorm session. I think their $4,000 price target is really interesting, and I think they're doing cutting edge stuff in terms of researching how far ahead of the curve Tesla is in autonomy and how big of a deal that is. I think ARK is the only people talking about that, and I think they're putting out amazing research there. But I do sort of push back on their $4,000 price target, because I just think, like, I don't know, they have too many assumptions about how fast people are actually gonna be able to tap a button on their Tesla app and have their Model 3 start autonomously driving around town, giving people rides, generating revenue. Like, I think that will happen and will be huge for Tesla, but is that something that I'm getting excited about in the next 2 to 3 years? Not really at all, but ARK is, and that's why they get to their $4,000 price point. So I love what ARK is doing. I love the research, but I think they're a little bit too optimistic about how fast these autonomous cars can actually be in the market and generate, you know, take significant mile share of rides driven. Looking for another question. I see Model 3s freaking everywhere. Hottest car in the market for sure. You're right. The Model 3, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, this has been the best-selling electric car every single month this year. They're outselling the BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes C-Class, the Audi, in the US, in the mid-size luxury sedan segment. You know, the Model 3 taking 52% market share in July was mind-boggling numbers. So I really hope the market can focus on that data going forward. Gally, when can they recognize the 1.1 gigawatt hour energy project? Will some of that come in 2018? No idea. You're talking about Newport Beach Media. I believe you're talking about the project with PG&E that Tesla's working on, which is going to be a massive battery. PG&E is one of the largest utility companies in the country. I believe they're the largest in Northern California. So this is a huge deal to see one of these established utility companies looks like commit to a potentially 1.1 gigawatt hour project. By my estimates, that's hundreds of millions in revenue for Tesla. It's validating how big and exciting their battery business can be. And I think we're just scratching the surface of seeing deals like that happen. But to answer your question, when will we see the revenue from that PG&E project hit? I have no idea. I don't even think that's been finalized yet, but I'm watching that closely, and I think you're totally thinking the right way to be looking out for the details on that project. Do I think Tesla should... do I own a Tesla? No, I don't. I live in New York City, and I'm broke, so I don't own a Tesla. One day. Do I think the SEC will punish Tesla? I mentioned this already. SEC is investigating Tesla. I think it's a bummer that they are, but I don't if it's a fine, I think it's going to be maybe a couple $1,000,000. Worst case, it's not going to matter at all to Tesla. Tesla pickup coming sooner than expected. Any thoughts on that? I think Elon's just talking there. I still think it's 3 to 4 years before we see a pickup, so I'm not assigning too much value to it. Will the shorts ever give up? Will the analysts ever wise up? Flores, thanks for the question. Will these shorts ever give up? Probably not for a while, but I think what's so exciting about Tesla staying public is that if they can show this material improvement in profitability and cash flow, not necessarily even be profitable in Q3, but get close to break even and show a massive improvement, that's just going to make it so much harder for the shorts to argue. And so I think we could see the stock eventually go way beyond 420 if they execute on these profitability goals in the near term. And I think that's when the shorts will really shut up because, why are these shorts, Tesla stock has been relatively flat for the past 3 years after it had this monster run. So the shorts haven't actually been losing that much money. But I think if Tesla stock was on another breakout run to all-time highs, then I think that all the shorts are going to look really dumb. They're going to basically been proven wrong. They're going to be losing a ton of money. And so I think all the shorts are going to get a lot quieter. And I think the entire media narrative is going to shift to Tesla's favor once they execute and the stock goes above around 400 or 420. And so I'm super excited about that because I do think that is happening. Ever thought about doing educational videos on financial markets in general? Yes, and I do have a couple on the channel. I've been so busy with Tesla and tech stuff recently that I haven't been able to make those, but I definitely need to get back to doing that. Just reading more questions here. When do I realistically think the standard battery will be produced? I think way too many people are making a huge deal about, Tesla said the Model 3 was going to be $35,000 car, but now it's not, and they're never going to sell the $35,000 model. I mean, Tesla is sort of backed themselves into a corner because they've promised profitability, so they're prioritizing these much higher price models, which makes sense. I don't know if it's the smartest move long-term because they're sort of, the customers who put down the deposit waiting for that have been waiting forever and they keep promising it and it keeps getting delayed. But I think eventually they will come out with this cheaper $35,000 car. It's totally coming. They just literally have more orders than they can fill today and they're prioritizing these higher price models because they need to show a profit. And that just is the reality. But eventually, their battery costs are falling at a rapid clip. I think Tesla will be selling the cheaper $35,000 version. It'll be here. I believe they said Q1 2019. I'm not 100% sure, so don't hold me to that, but that's my understanding. Please explain how Volkswagen proposed to buy in. I did explain that a little. I think that's one of the reasons Musk didn't want to do the privatization because companies like Volkswagen would take a huge chunk. Yes. Will the next big thing the short thesis will focus on is the federal tax credit expiring? Yes. And they're going to say demand will collapse after Q4. And even if Tesla can show a profit in Q3 and Q4, it won't matter because then nobody's going to be buying Model 3s and the tax credit will have evaporated. That's just another narrative of the shorts pushing the goalpost, changing the thesis. My investment thesis in Tesla has been the exact same since day one. Like, we're all going to be driving electric cars. Tesla's going to be selling maybe 10% of the most, premium priced, highest profit margin cars. They're going to be the Apple of the auto world. They're going to disrupt the whole industry. That's what I've been saying for 7 years since I've been following the company. But the shorts keep changing their narrative. First, it's that no one's going to buy electric cars. They're just a toy for rich people. Then Tesla can't sell 20,000 Model S per year, even though they have 20,000 pre-orders. Now they're selling 50,000 Model S per year. Now every single automaker is going electric. So now the argument is, well, Tesla can't make money. Well, that make money argument is about to go away in Q3 and Q4. So if just in investing in general, if you're either on the bullish or bearish side, but your narrative is always changing, then I think that's a huge red flag that you need to rethink your analysis. Do I think the traditional auto companies will ever catch up to Tesla manufacturing? Honestly, not really, because maybe they will eventually, but Tesla's a huge head start. Like, they built this thing, the Gigafactory in Nevada 4 years ago was just a pile of sand in the desert. And now it's this massive factory pumping out, more batteries than all other vehicle makers combined. And this was a move that Tesla took a huge risk on, and they knew they were going to be selling hundreds of thousands of cars. So they preemptively built this massive factory. These are the kind of investments they made that are putting them years and years ahead of the competition. So I think it's going to be really, really hard for these other automakers to keep up, because I think Tesla is the first mover, and I think they're continuing to stay, 3 to 4 years ahead in terms of battery production capacity, in terms of battery efficiency, in terms of self-driving hardware and chips. Like, I think Tesla is just ahead in all of those angles in terms of building superchargers, in terms of building direct-to-consumer retail stores. Like, these are all things that other automakers are still years behind Tesla on. Anyway, so is there a couple questions? Anyone else have another question before I sign out? Someone asked about crypto insights. I have a new podcast coming with an awesome crypto startup that is being edited right now, so stay tuned for that. Oh, huge shout out to our Patreon producer, Rand's Quality Eggs, who hooked me up with this new iPhone so I can do more live videos. And I just lost my phone, and he literally just went out of his way to get me a new iPhone. So that is so awesome. So huge shout out to Dave Rand. Or Rand's Quality Eggs, our Patreon producer, for getting me the new iPhone and enabling this live video. Someone asked, how do I get on Cheddar? They hit me up. I don't know. They send me an email and I get on Cheddar. Can I do a video on WeWork? Ooh, I've written a bunch about WeWork in the Patreon newsletter, but I haven't ever done a video on them, so it could be a good idea. Anyway, this is HyperChange. If you like the show, definitely check out our Patreon page. Consider supporting. I'll see you guys next time. When do I think Tesla producing free cash flow? One last question. They said they will in Q3 and Q4 of this year. Will they will after that? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that question. Whoever said, we love you, Gally. Only reason to have IG is these videos. I love you too. You're awesome. Cannabis stocks are out of control. You watch the space? Yes, I do. There's a new company called Tilray that my buddy bought that I think is way overhyped and the valuation makes no sense. And I told him he's an idiot, but I haven't looked into it. So that's my thought on that. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. You are all awesome for tuning into the HyperChange IG Live. Peace.